Francesi. If I'm saying that right, Joe.
Francesi.
Okay.
First of all, I want to say congratulations to Ashley and Caitlin. I wanted to thank the board for bringing up this subject, very touchy. I'd like to remind the board, especially Jen, you are not home rule. You are not eligible to make your own rules. There has never been a ban on any legal product that is won in court. You will not confiscate a legal product, and the Grace Lake Police Department will not come and take them. HB 183, the Concealed Carry Bill, also known as the Family and Personal Protection Act, discussion includes a 10-day window provided for the rules and entities to pass an assault weapon ban. That only means rifles. It does not mean semi-autos. It does not mean revolvers, and it does not mean anything else that you want to put on. The Constitution of the United States ensures us the right to keep and bear arms to protect us from a tyrannical government. If you decide to go against our founding fathers' wise and clear directives, you, the board, will firmly situate yourselves as a combative entity and a complete, clear, and present danger to all that you serve. That being said, you will be dealt with legally, swiftly, and it's going to hurt financially the village and possibly bankruptcy. Also, I'd like to point out, not if, but if the ordinance is challenged, and maybe Jim can corroborate this with me, the standard that will be applied will be strictly scrutinized. You will need to prove empirical studies, which means how this ban of these weapons would specifically make Hainseville safer. It's not based on feelings. It's not based on one person's got something over the other. It's not what to do with Highland Park is doing or what Round Lake is doing because it's a dog and pony show. I have a federal lawsuit against the city of Chicago. Its population of 2,707,000 or so people. I have some of the best lawyers in the country dealing with my case of selling and possessing legal products and being able to sell them. I'm winning. I've passed every hurdle, and we're about to go to the Supreme Court. You think a town of 3,333 people are going to intimidate me, the citizens, or restrict my rights? I'll personally assure you there will be a recall election on each and every one of you.
Sir, since we just voted not to do that.
You voted to table it.
No. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it.
So,
We voted not to do it. We did take it off the agenda.
We just removed it.
you're wasting my time even getting me here, even thinking about this ludicrous idea. Show some professionalism.
Oh, you social professionals.
We have voted not to do that.
That's very good. In closing, I'd like to tell you that you might want to think of a new legal counsel for this village, because what you almost went down would have been very, very costly for this village. Thank you.
What we did do was offer an opportunity to the board to discuss it.
You can discuss it all you want.
We did, and we voted not to do it.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, before there's any rebuttal comments, we'll keep going. Next up is Kevin Mathewson.
Honorable Mayor and trustees, thank you for having me here to speak with you today. I'm a former dispatcher for SEDCON, which used to dispatch for Hainsville Police. I did that for 5 years, from 2005 to 2010, so Hainsville is a very close community to my heart. I have lots of friends and family that live both here in Hainsville and surrounding neighborhoods. So that's why I came here to speak on this. And I actually live just north of the Cheddar Curtain in Wisconsin, and we just recently got our concealed carry November of last year. It's been over a year since it was implemented, and I just want to assure you that there are no shootouts at every corner, and all in all, it will make this state a safer state. I can assure you that. And I can duly understand that since this is so unusual for the state of Illinois, it's going to take some time to get used to, and it might be scary, but as somebody who just went through it a year ago, I can assure you there won't be shootouts on every corner. I want to thank the board and the mayor for deciding not to go through with this. However, I decided to still speak because, after all, it was on tonight's agenda, so we were pretty close to having this voted on, and I just figured you all would like to still hear some public comments. And I wanted to thank the trustees and the mayor that responded to my email. Even though I'm not a constituent, you still took the time, so I appreciate that. I hope that's how the rest of the village works. If it is, I'm sure it's still as good as I left it a few years back. The main reason, I'll be very brief, that I was opposed to this legislation is I believe it can make the citizens of Hainseville a target more so than neighboring communities. When the bad guys find out that Hainseville doesn't allow more than 10 rounds per clip, and maybe neighboring communities do, maybe those bad guys might target Hainseville for this very reason. Just when you're so different from neighboring villages, it really gets the bad guys thinking. Again, thank you for having me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you. Next is Shannon Smigulski.
Hi there. I did want to speak on the ordinance tonight. I appreciate the fact that you put it on the agenda so that it was public and transparent. I appreciate it even more that you took it off the agenda. I think that from a personal standpoint, you did the right thing. That's what I was hoping that you would do. And I know that there's going to be bigger hurdles to cross in the future, depending upon how legislation works. So I wanted to give you a little personal perspective as somebody who lives in your neighborhood, and several of you are my neighbors on my street. You know my family, you know my children. Recently, my children were threatened by someone who is unknown to me. And when that happens, it shakes you tremendously, especially when the person is unknown. You don't know where they're going to be, you don't know where they're going to come from, and you don't know if they're around a corner or if they're in your house. You just live in a state of fear that is really unexplainable if you haven't gone through it. I have not owned a firearm since I moved to Illinois. I grew up in Wisconsin and I grew up hunting, so I'm very familiar with guns and I'm comfortable with them and I have no problem with them. That incident persuaded me to go ahead and get my identification card, and I will be going through all the processes to have that in my house. And I can tell you right now that a 10-clip weapon wouldn't be nearly enough for what I would do to somebody who came into my house to hurt my children. The reason I came up here to say that is because a lot of you do know my children, and you have children as well, and I'm quite certain that if that was the position that you were put in, you would probably all feel the same way that I do. You are not in an enviable position. I've been where you sit, and I know that it's not a lot of fun. So I appreciate the fact that you guys were transparent about this. I appreciate the fact that you let us get up and talk about it regardless, and I thank you for your service to the community.
Okay, next is Hal Berger. There you are, sorry.
I'm not sure I need a microphone. I'm pretty loud basically all the time.
It's good for the mic because we record the meeting, so people want to listen to it. Yeah, it helps with the
Give you
sound.
the microphone. Thank you for having me here, and I really do appreciate what you did this evening. Bringing it out in the open and then closing it was a very good thing. I wrote a letter that I gave to each of you that's a little different than some of the takes that are here. In fair disclosure, I'm an NRA life member. I'm an Illinois Rifle Association life member as well. I've participated in the United States military, and I feel very strongly. I feel very strongly about the United States Constitution and its erosion going on recently. The reason I'm speaking is not because of just this issue, it's the assault on our whole nation against the U.S. Constitution. And I'm going to read this briefly. I gave each of you a copy of it. Recently, many of us gathered with friends and family Memorial Day weekend. We took time to pause and ponder what that day is all about. Memorial Day is more than just the beginning of the summer season. It is a time to reflect on the sacrifices many have made to establish, preserve the freedoms that have provided this nation with bounties seen by no one. As a veteran, I put my life on the line to actively defend our country and our freedom. I didn't do this so that citizens could hide in fear, creating laws taking away those freedoms, thinking that another law will actually protect them. It won't. I lost several friends in the service of the country, and if you ever visit a national cemetery, you can almost hear the whispers of those that came before us. Listen carefully and you'll hear their pleas to us to protect the special gift of liberty paid for with their blood. It is important to keep in mind that soldiers, past and present, fought to defend our entire Constitution, not just the bits and pieces they found fashionable in a particular day or time. Sadly, the sacrifices of millions of good Americans have been sullied by those who attack our Second Amendment, claiming it is irrelevant, outdated, and dangerous. The sacrifices of so many brave men and women should serve as an inspiration to us to fight on to protect the Second Amendment. I'm going to add to that the whole Constitution. Currently, right now, the First through Fifth Amendment are under attack. All five of them. Second Amendment happens to be the big issue here tonight. I could talk on all of them and have. The sacrifices of so many brave men and women should serve as an inspiration. The knowledge that so many gave so much should steel our resolve to defeat those whose politics demand that our right to keep and bear arms are diminished. To attack the Second Amendment is to attack our entire Constitution and the liberties it has engendered. Whether an attack on our Constitution originates from abroad, or whether it is uttered on the floor of Congress or in a community boardroom or here in our local governments, is inconsequential. One attack is no different than any other. As Americans, we must stand up and vigorously defend our rights and push back those who would infringe upon our freedoms. In closing, I ask you two things. First, continue to celebrate our freedoms for which others have fought so valiantly, maybe some of you as well. Second, to honor the sacrifices of our troops by recommitting yourself to the tireless defense of our nation's Constitution and the guiding principles upon which this nation was founded. Again, my name is Hal Berger. I live in Grays Lake right next door. I'm here because it's our police department that would enforce this. And I appreciate and thank you for the time to come up here and speak. And thank you again.
All right, thank you. Okay, I have three more. Next up is Michael Bash.
I just wanted to say thank you for reconsidering this proposal. It doesn't just affect the residents here in Hainseville, it affects everybody traveling through Hainseville. I travel through here all the time. Everybody in this room that said the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning, they pledge an oath to uphold what is the part of this country, the Constitution, the Second Amendment mainly. And that is our right to keep and bear arms for the protection of ourselves and our loved ones. That's all I have to say. Thank
Next is Russ Cook.
Hi, thank you. I live in the town of Lakeville. I was in the public service for 18 years, and I appreciate what you guys did tonight. That's why I'm here, because I come through this town constantly, and I have people here. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Georgiana, are you making a comment as a trustee or as a resident?
As a resident, but I'm not talking about this section. I have something else to bring.
All right, well then, yeah, but then can I just finish with
Yes,
this all?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right. Before we move on to any other public comments, I just want to throw it out there one more time. Is there anybody else that would like to make a comment in regards to the assault weapons? Okay, gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to step forward. And you're going to sign your name and address for the clerk, and then you can step to the mic.
gentleman in the yellow, we decided to take it off the agenda. I just got here, so you weren't here when we did that. We decided to take it off the agenda. Just so
Sir?
you know.
Here, this is a copy of a public statement that I read at the opening of the meeting. State your name.
Scott Chesney, I live in Round Lake. Actually, I just had a quick question. You guys said you took it off the agenda. Does that mean you can bring it back up, or you actually voted it dead word down?
No, we removed it from the agenda, and as I said in my statement, the reason it was placed on the agenda as an ordinance rather than just discussion is we have a very short window to act in if we wanted to consider adopting an ordinance. So by removing it, if the governor signs it July 9th,
July
or-
9th.
Yeah, or, you know, we have 10 days after that to act, right, Jim?
Correct.
But there's no board, the next board meeting isn't until the end of July,
But you
okay?
could call a special board meeting.
We could call a special meeting, but I want to, I have some extra copies of the statement here, because I don't know, you know, Georgina, please stop. I made it very clear, I thought, that I feel an ordinance of this nature would put the village of Hainsville in more jeopardy of litigation. And it doesn't really accomplish anything, other than our ability to impose a fine, okay? I'm not looking to get a fine. That's not what I would look to try to accomplish this. So it is my recommendation to the board that we removed it from the agenda, and perhaps I should have said removed it entirely from any future consideration.
I do appreciate the fact that you brought it up and gave everybody the opportunity to speak about it and so forth. Like most of the people here, I do support the Constitution, all our amendments, our First Amendment, which we're exercising right now, our Second Amendment, which is obviously the right to keep and bear arms, which we're discussing right now. And of course, since you did, since everybody, most of the towns received a letter from the governor, they should talk about it. Regardless of what their feelings are on it, it is something that they should talk about. I'm not saying it's something they should necessarily propose as a good idea, which you're finding it's not a good idea, but it should be something that should be discussed. That's something for all the citizens' sake. So I do appreciate where you guys have taken a stance on this and that you've clarified that position.
Yeah, and I want to clarify just a little further, is when I asked the board for approval of the agenda as amended, the trustees, of course, had that right to say no, that they wanted to at least discuss it further, or maybe we had trustees that all had different opinions, and therefore we might have moved forward, and then it might have gone to a vote. It is dead in the water. It is done with. I think
Like I said,
getting nods from everyone. And I want to again stress that I think you can appreciate, especially, it's been very frustrating in the state of Illinois, legislation on this issue and many issues. I know this is a hot topic, this is the Second Amendment, but you have to understand the language keeps changing on legislation. And what I read 2 weeks ago may not be what's being actually put on the governor's desk and was voted on today. And when I am told that we have a very small window to act on, I am not going to miss any window of opportunity to read language, understand it, explore it with the trustees, discuss it with our municipal council, and welcome public comment. So that was our goal, and what we have accomplished here tonight is government as its best. This is what's it about. You put it out there, you speak your mind constructively, and we've accomplished something here tonight, and I thank you.
thank you.
How do you spell your last name?
It's Sam.
I have extra copies of the statement that I read tonight if anybody would like one. We're going to move on to other public comments. If there's anybody else that wants... Oh, I'm sorry, 2 more. I got carried away here. Okay, so Leighton Pennington, am I saying that right?
Yes, ma'am.
There you are.
is Leighton Pennington. I'm a resident of Grays Lake. I've been a resident there since 1989. I'm also a 30-year veteran of the United States Army, retiring as a I retired as a colonel in 2009 after 32 years of service, from private to colonel. I was the deputy chief of staff at Fort Sheridan before I left. I applaud you for what you did here tonight. In my 30 years, I served over 11 years overseas, deployments, and other places, doing things we call nation building. I saw firsthand what can happen when small governments leading to regional government, into state government, leading to whatever government compromises a nation, try to take things into their own hands, leading up to a national level, and then suppressing people. I've done that too many times. I left friends on the battlefield, left parts of myself on the battlefield. I applaud you for what you did here tonight. It is absolutely the best of American politics. I can't say any more. Thank you very much.
My name is Keith Turner.
Okay.
And I live in Waukegan, Illinois, and I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I apologize for being late. And, you know, I've been to many of these meetings across the state. And I got to tell you, you know, this whole discussion around this thing, you keep talking about common sense and reason. And I got to tell you folks, this is the